Yo, what's good, creators? Welcome to the Create to Inspire Corner, where I, your host Coriel, interview creators from around the world, all to share their stories to give you some of the creative inspo you need so you can go on and create to inspire in your own community. And today's main topic is all about advocating through art. And today's special guest is Christian Currence. He's a producer, musician, and today you're only going to hear about his story, his music, and his passions, but also talking with him about his experience with and the importance of advocating through art. Anyways, right into it. Let's get right into it. Christian, thanks so much for coming to Create Inspired Core. How you doing, man?
Good. It's an honor to be on the show. I appreciate you having me.
So starting off, tell us a little about yourself, your passions, and what you like to create.
I guess music would be like my first passion in life. I do a lot of different stuff. So I have my actual channel or my actual page where Christian Currence, that's my real name. So I produce off of that and release my own music where I'm actually like vocally on the track. And then I also have a side project called Jerry Fisherman, which is my like lo-fi or just like pseudonym for production. So like if I'm producing for someone else, like I'll have them like feature Jerry Fisherman on that track. So that way I have like a discography of all the things I've produced on. Um, but yeah, I do that. Also play a couple instruments. I play guitar, relatively okay-ish. I'm not great. Keys, I'm pretty proficient. Drums is my first instrument, love drums. But production is really where like all that comes together. And I love being able to just like create like from scratch and then build to something, or actually take ideas other people have given me and then take it to something that's like a finished product. And then like mixing is probably my best thing when it comes to music. Like what I'm the most skilled at would be like mixing.
So you mentioned drums, one of the first things you discovered. Is that you found your passion for music?
No, I learned piano first when I think I was 8 years old when my dad started teaching me piano. And I taught myself drums at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I learned like just the basic rock beat, like boom, cats, boom, boom, cats. And then after that, like I taught myself everything just by like listening to music and then just like trying to mimic what they were doing. And with drums, it's easy to do that because like hearing the difference between like a hi-hat, a snare, and a kick is a lot easier than hearing, all right, what key are we in? What chords are we doing? All that kind of stuff. So it's really easy to like play drums by ear. So
all the streets are golden until the day pays off. I work till the morning, no night, no sleep, no days off. I'll rest when I'm touring until the day pays off. I'll never.
And I want to ask you, what is the importance of, as an artist, using your voice and advocating the things that you're passionate about?
have you ever heard the phrase that the like an artist has more influence than politicians?
I haven't, but it's totally true. Yeah.
So like politics is downstream from culture. Essentially, like philosophers come up with these crazy big ideas, and then it's the job of the artist to take those ideas and then make them consumable for the public. And that's what we've had for thousands of years, which is you have a really big thinker, crazy idea, and then the artists see that and they're like, oh, let me create an analogy for everyone else to understand, essentially. Which I think is really important, because if you have something that like you want to see a change within the culture, you want to see a change within society, you have to do that from the creative aspect. You have to do that from an artist's standpoint, because you're taking that idea and then you have to make it consumable where the general public will actually be able to accept it and work with it. So I think that we as artists are essentially the conduit for the change that needs to happen, and then influencing people to actually make that change. I think for believers, it's really simple. Just live for an audience of one. We live to serve God, not people. And ultimately, as long as we're doing what He's called us to and walking in obedience, then we're storing up our treasures in heaven. That's what matters. So for the believer, that's what I would say. For everyone else, I mean, honestly, it just comes down to like making sure that like what you advocate for is like something worth like living for. I think Martin Luther King said this. If you like, a man that doesn't have something worth dying for doesn't deserve to live, or something of that nature. It really comes down to like, what do like, what do you care about? What do you want to see change in the world? And, you know, if you actually care about that and it like breaks,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. Were you ever at any point like in a roadblock where you were kind of like, okay, did you ever struggle with that personally for yourself, and how were you able to kind of overcome that, you know, fear, anxiety? Did you even ever struggle with that?
I don't know. I've always had like just being like my own worst critic. So I'm like a huge perfectionist. Like I'll be honest with you, none of like all of my music that I've released, there are things in my like every time I hear it, I'm like, dang, I want to change that. And that thing needs to be fixed. I wish I could re-record that. Because of like my own perfectionism, and I like over criticize everything. And for me, I think like getting over that was just realizing like early on, nobody cares, right?
I
Like
mean,
that I think that was so much time in like my first single, and I released it and it got like 100 streams and then nobody listened to it again. And I was like, well, I mean, if this is the outcome, then like I don't have to like over stress myself to try and create like something perfect, but rather create something that's better than the last project, which is something that, you know, Isaac talks about, is just like always making sure whatever project you're working on, the next one is better, always improving. And for me, that's kind of just been a mentality that I've adopted, where it's like it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be better than the last one, in a
yeah.
sense. And that's definitely been a help to me, to be able to just not have to worry about like meeting my own standards, but just making sure that I'm growing and I'm getting better, and creating better products.
Improvement over perfection. Yeah, I like that. That's cool, man. Thank you so much, you know, for chatting with me. Now we're gonna kind of transition to what I call the creative questions of the day. It's kind of like a go for it question. All right. So the first one is, if you could collaborate with any producer or musician, who would it be, and what would be the theme of the project?
Um, ooh, that's hard, bro. If I could just pick any producer to work with, probably Monte Booker.
Yeah.
He is so talented. Like the stuff he creates, I'm just like, you just listen to it and I'm like, I don't have words. I'm just like, how did you do this? Just the way he works with samples and things that like stay offbeat, but somehow they just work with it. I love that. So I would probably pick Monte Booker of anyone. If I could just work with any person, I definitely would pick him. And then I don't even, I don't know what it would be about, honestly.
Yeah, as long as it's him, it's cool. Yeah, yeah. So what's your favorite project by him? Is there any favorite track that you've heard by him or anything like that?
My favorite track by him, I think it's called Colors with Smino, but yeah. And then like just that whole EP, like those 4 tracks, that one's on Colors with Smino, and then like the other ones are all really dope. Like that's been one of my biggest inspirations as a producer, is just Monte Booker and all that kind of stuff that he's put out.
That's how you. I'll have to check that out, bro. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so my last question for you, Christian, is what does the phrase "create to inspire" mean to you?
I mean, kind of what I said earlier, in a sense, like taking ideas and then putting them in an art form for people to consume them. Like, because we kind of go into the world, we get inspiration, and it's like, if we wanted to inspire other people, like our job is to take that inspiration and then make it consumable for our group, if that makes sense, like our following. Yeah.
And well, thank you so much for coming to the Create to Inspire Corner. It was a blast having you, Christian. And thank you so much for you guys watching at home. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, able to apply. We talked about with Christian about, you know, advocating through art, using your voice, spreading your passions with the world in a way that is consumable. Create to inspire. Peace.